Story 1. I've been camping since I was a kid with my dad, and after he passed away last year, I decided to take a solo trip to honor his memory. He always talked about wanting to visit this particular national park out west, so I planned a whole week there during what would have been his 70th birthday. Since it's such a popular park, I booked my campsite 6 months in advance through the official Park Service website. Site 42, right by the lake with a perfect view of the mountains. I had the confirmation email, receipt, everything properly documented. This was going to be a special trip. The drive took me 2 days, and I was exhausted when I finally pulled into the campground around 3 in the afternoon. I followed the signs to Site 42, excited to finally set up and relax. Except someone was already there. A woman in her 50s had a massive setup spread across the entire site. 2 tents, multiple tarps, camping chairs arranged in a circle, coolers everywhere, and a fire already going. She looked like she'd been there for days. I parked nearby and walked over with my paperwork. Excuse me, I think there might be some confusion. I have this campsite reserved. She looked up from her camp chair where she was reading a book. Karen, sorry, but I'm already here. First come, first served. Actually, I reserved this specific site months ago. I have the confirmation right here. I showed her my phone with the email confirmation and receipt. Karen, I don't care what some website says. You can't reserve nature. I got here first, so this is my spot. But that's not how campground reservations work. I paid for this specific site for this specific week. Karen, nature doesn't belong to the government. It belongs to everyone, and I was here first. Find somewhere else. She went back to reading her book like the conversation was over. Ma'am, I drove 2 days to get here. I have a legal reservation. You need to move. Karen, I'm not moving anywhere. Take it up with whoever you want, but I'm staying put. This was unbelievable. I walked over to the park office, which was about a 10-minute hike from the campsite. The ranger on duty was this friendly guy in his 30s who immediately understood the problem. Ranger, we get this sometimes. People think they can just claim any site they want. Let me grab my supervisor and we'll sort this out. We drove back to Site 42 in the ranger's truck. Karen was still in her chair, but now she had music playing. Ranger, ma'am, I'm going to need to see your reservation for this site. Karen, I don't have a reservation. I don't need one. This is public land. Ranger, actually, ma'am, this is a designated campground with a reservation system. You can't just set up anywhere you want. Karen, says who? I have just as much right to be here as anyone else. The supervisor pulled out a tablet and started checking the digital log. Supervisor, Site 42 is reserved for the entire week by this gentleman here. There's no record of any reservation under your name. Karen, your computer system is wrong. I've been camping for 30 years, and you never used to need reservations. Supervisor, ma'am, times have changed. Popular campgrounds require reservations to manage capacity and ensure everyone gets a fair chance to enjoy the park. Karen, this is ridiculous. You can't computerize the wilderness. Look, I just want the campsite I paid for. There are other sites available if you want to make a proper reservation. Karen, I'm not paying the government to access what's already mine by right. The supervisor was getting frustrated. Supervisor, ma'am, you have 2 options. You can pack up and move to an unreserved site, or you can leave the park. But you cannot stay here. Karen, you can't make me leave. This is America. I have rights. Ranger, yes, ma'am, and one of those rights is not to occupy campsites reserved by other people. That's when Karen completely lost it. Karen, this is all a conspiracy. You're working with the big camping corporations to squeeze money out of honest Americans. Karen, the government is trying to control every inch of this country. First they computerize everything. Now they want to track where we sleep. Karen, you're probably getting kickbacks from the reservation companies. She was screaming so loud that campers from other sites started coming over to see what was happening. Supervisor, ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to calm down or I'll have to escort you off the grounds. Karen, you can't silence me. Everyone needs to know about this scam you're running. She started pointing at the other campers. Karen, they're stealing your freedom. Soon you'll need permission to breathe fresh air. The supervisor radioed for backup, while Karen continued her rant about government conspiracies and corporate camping monopolies. 2 more rangers arrived within minutes. Supervisor, ma'am, you're being asked to leave the park. If you refuse, you'll be cited for illegal camping and disturbing the peace. Karen, I'm not going anywhere. You'll have to drag me out. So they did. Well, not literally dragged, but they started writing citations while she packed up her extensive campsite, muttering about tyranny and lost freedoms the entire time. The final straw came when she started loading her gear and accidentally knocked over her cooler, spilling melted ice water all over the fire pit area. Karen, oops. Hope that doesn't ruin your government-approved camping experience. That earned her an additional citation for vandalism and littering. By the time she finally drove away, she'd racked up over $600 in fines. The head ranger apologized profusely and offered to help me set up my tent. Ranger, I'm really sorry about that. We see entitled behavior sometimes, but that was extreme even for us. Me, no worries. I'm just glad the reservation system worked like it was supposed to. I ended up having an amazing week at that campsite. The view was everything I'd hoped for, and every morning I'd sit by the lake with my coffee thinking about my dad and how much he would have loved this place. On my last day, another ranger stopped by to check on me. Ranger, how was your stay? No more camping drama, I hope? Me, perfect week. Thanks for handling that situation. Ranger, just doing our job. That lady called the park office every day this week trying to file complaints against us. Something about constitutional violations and camping rights. Some people just can't accept that rules apply to everyone, even in nature. Story 2. I've been working at Murphy's Hardware for 2 years now. It's a family-owned store that's been in our town for over 30 years. I love my job because I get to help people with their home improvement projects, and the owners treat us like family. Plus, being bilingual is actually really helpful since we have a lot of Spanish-speaking customers in our area. My coworker Miguel and I were restocking the paint section on a busy Saturday morning. We always chat in Spanish when we're working together, it's just natural for us. We were talking about which primer works best for different surfaces when this woman approached us looking for help with tile spacers. I switched to English immediately and helped her find what she needed. She seemed fine during our interaction, got her spacers, and headed toward the checkout. Miguel and I went back to our conversation in Spanish about the paint display. That's when she came stomping back over to us. Karen, excuse me. I can hear you two speaking that foreign language. Me? Oh, we were just discussing work. Is there something else I can help you find? Karen, you need to speak American when you're at work. This is America. Miguel looked confused and uncomfortable. His English isn't as strong as mine, so he usually lets me handle difficult customers. Me, we weren't speaking to customers, ma'am. We were just talking to each other while we worked. Karen, I don't care. When you're in America, you speak American. It's rude and unprofessional. Me, we were speaking Spanish, and we're both American citizens. Is there anything else you need help with today? Karen, don't get smart with me. Where's your manager? This is unacceptable. She stormed toward the front of the store. Miguel looked worried. Miguel, should we be concerned? Me, don't worry about it. Mrs. Murphy will handle this. Mrs. Murphy has owned this store with her husband for decades. She's tough but fair, and she doesn't tolerate customers being rude to her employees. What this lady didn't know is that Mrs. Murphy is fluent in Spanish. She lived in Mexico for several years when she was younger. I could hear the woman's voice getting louder at the customer service counter. Karen, your employees are speaking Mexican back there and refusing to speak American. It's completely unprofessional. Mrs. Murphy, ma'am, could you please lower your voice? What exactly is the problem? Karen, those two men were speaking that foreign language right in front of me. In America, we speak American. Mrs. Murphy, you mean they were speaking Spanish? Karen, yes, it's rude, and they shouldn't be doing it at work. Mrs. Murphy, ma'am, first of all, there's no language called American. We speak English in America, along with hundreds of other languages. Second, my employees can speak whatever language they want when they're talking to each other. Karen, that's ridiculous. What if they're talking about customers? Mrs. Murphy, were they talking about you? Karen, I don't know. I don't speak Mexican. Mrs. Murphy, it's called Spanish, and I do speak it. They were discussing paint primers. Nothing about customers at all. I didn't realize it at the time, but Mr. Rodriguez, one of our regular customers, had started recording with his phone when he heard the commotion. Karen, I want them written up. This is America, and we speak English here. Mrs. Murphy, no, I will not write up my employees for speaking their native language. What I will do is ask you to leave if you continue harassing my staff. Karen, harassing. I'm a paying customer. Mrs. Murphy, you bought $3 worth of tile spacers and you're demanding I discipline my employees for speaking Spanish to each other. That's harassment. Karen, I want to speak to the owner. Mrs. Murphy, you are. I'm the owner, and I'm telling you that in my store, my employees can speak any language they want. If you have a problem with that, you can shop elsewhere. Karen, this is discrimination against Americans. Mrs. Murphy, no, this is me defending my employees from discrimination. You need to leave now. Karen, I'm never shopping here again. Mrs. Murphy, good. Don't let the door hit you on your way out. As Karen stormed out, Mrs. Murphy turned to Mr. Rodriguez, who was still recording. Mrs. Murphy, I hope you got all that, because I'm proud of how we handle things here. Mr. Rodriguez, I sure did. Mind if I post this online? Mrs. Murphy, go right ahead. The video went viral within hours. People were praising Mrs. Murphy for standing up for her employees and calling out Karen's ignorance. The comments were hilarious. People were joking about speaking American and sharing their own stories about language discrimination. Our store got so much positive attention that we had customers driving from other towns just to shop with us and meet Mrs. Murphy. Sales actually went up that week. Karen never came back, which was perfectly fine with all of us. Story 3. I bought my house 2 years ago specifically because it had a nice wide driveway. After years of apartment living and fighting for street parking, having my own guaranteed spot felt like luxury. The house next door was a rental, and tenants came and went pretty regularly. Most were quiet and respectful. Then she moved in. My new neighbor seemed friendly enough at first. She introduced herself when she moved in and even brought over cookies. But within a month, the problems started. She hosted parties almost every weekend, which wouldn't have bothered me except her guests kept parking in my driveway. The first time it happened, I knocked on her door the next morning. Hi, I think one of your guests accidentally parked in my driveway last night. Karen, oh yeah, sorry about that. We had so many people over, parking was crazy. No problem, just wanted to let you know for future reference. But it kept happening. Every weekend, I'd wake up to find random cars blocking my driveway. I started leaving polite notes on windshields asking people to move. Some did, others ignored them completely. After a month of this, I talked to my neighbor again. Hey, could you maybe ask your guests not to park in my driveway? I had to call an Uber to get to work yesterday because I was blocked in. Karen, look, street parking is limited. People need somewhere to park. I understand, but that somewhere can't be my private driveway. Karen, it's not like you use it much anyway. Your car's usually gone during the day. That's not the point. It's my driveway. She just shrugged and went back inside. The problem got worse. Now it wasn't just party guests, she started parking her own SUV in my driveway during the week when her boyfriend's truck was in hers. When I confronted her about it, She acted like I was being unreasonable. Karen, I'm only using half of it. There's plenty of room for your little car. Me, it doesn't matter if there's room. You can't park on my property without permission. Karen, God, you're so uptight. It's just a driveway. I tried being diplomatic. I offered to let her use half my driveway if she paid me $50 a month for a parking spot. She laughed in my face. Karen, I'm not paying you to park in a driveway that's half empty anyway. The final straw came on a Sunday morning. I had an early shift at the hospital where I work as a nurse, and her massive SUV was completely blocking my driveway. I knocked on her door for 10 minutes before she answered. Me, I need you to move your car. I have to get to work. Karen, can't you just wait like an hour? I'm really hungover. Me, no, I can't wait. People are depending on me to show up. She groaned and slammed the door. 20 minutes later, she finally moved the car, but not before making it clear she thought I was being a huge pain. That was 3 days ago, and I'd had enough. I called a local towing company and asked about having a car removed from my private driveway. Tow truck driver, as long as it's your property and you have proof of ownership, we can tow it. Costs the owner $200 to get it back, plus $25 per day storage. Me, what if they refuse to pay? Tow truck driver, then it sits in our lot until they do. We've had cars there for months. Sunday morning came again, and sure enough, the same SUV was parked right in the middle of my driveway. I called the towing company and was told they'd be there within an hour. While waiting, I decided to make a sign. I found some cardboard and wrote in large, neat letters, "Tow in progress." Owner refused to move for 3 days despite multiple requests. I taped it to my front door where anyone walking up could see it. The tow truck arrived 40 minutes later. The driver looked at the SUV and nodded. Tow truck driver, yeah, this is definitely blocking your driveway. We'll have it hooked up in 5 minutes. He was backing the truck into position when my neighbor's front door flew open. She came running out in pajamas and slippers. Karen, what the hell are you doing to my car? Me, having it towed from my driveway like I warned you would happen. Karen, you can't do that. It's not hurting anything. Tow truck driver, ma'am, this vehicle is parked on private property without the owner's permission. We have every right to remove it. Karen, this is ridiculous. I live right next door. Me, living next door doesn't give you parking rights in my driveway. The driver continued hooking up the SUV while she ranted about how unreasonable I was being. Karen, fine, I'll pay your stupid fee and get my car back. Tow truck driver, actually, ma'am, there might be a problem with that. He checked something on his phone and frowned. Tow truck driver, is your name on the registration for this vehicle? Karen, of course it is. Tow truck driver, because our system shows you already owe us $450 from a previous tow in March. We can't release any vehicles to you until that's paid in full. Karen's face went white. Karen, what previous tow? Tow truck driver, looks like your car was towed from a handicap space downtown. You never picked it up, so we eventually released it to a family member who paid the fees. Karen, that was a mistake. The handicap sign was covered by snow. Tow truck driver, either way, you'll need to settle both bills before we can release this vehicle. That'll be $650 total, plus storage fees for however long it takes you to pay. She stood there sputtering while he finished loading her SUV onto the truck. Karen, you can't do this to me. I need my car for work. Me, you should have thought about that before parking in my driveway for the 100th time. Tow truck driver, ma'am, the lot is open until 6 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 on weekends. Bring cash or a money order. As the truck drove away with her SUV, she turned on me. Karen, this is all your fault. I'm calling the police. Me, go ahead. They'll tell you the same thing, don't park on other people's property. I went inside and made myself breakfast, enjoying the peaceful quiet. Through my kitchen window, I could see her pacing around her yard, yelling into her phone. A week later, I saw her walking to the bus stop. Her SUV was still in the impound lot, apparently because she couldn't come up with the money for both bills plus the daily storage fees, which were adding up fast. The best part? She finally stopped hosting those loud weekend parties. Hard to have overflow parking problems when you don't have a car yourself. Story 4. I've been running my hair salon in this small town for 8 years now. After my divorce, I used my settlement money to lease a space on Main Street and build something of my own. It wasn't easy starting over at 35, but I worked my way up from doing cuts in my kitchen to having 3 chairs and a steady clientele. Our town only has about 15,000 people, so everyone knows everyone. Word of mouth is everything here. One bad customer can seriously hurt your reputation, which is why I always try to go above and beyond for clients. That Thursday afternoon, this woman I'd never seen before walked in without an appointment. She was probably in her 40s, wearing expensive clothes and carrying a designer purse that cost more than most people here make in a month. "Karen, I need a full cut and style. I have a very important event tonight." I checked my schedule. My last appointment had canceled, so I had time. "Me? Sure, I can fit you in. What are you thinking for the cut?" She showed me pictures on her phone of some elaborate layered style with highlights. I explained it would take about 3 hours and cost around $150 for the cut, style, and partial highlights she wanted. "Karen, money's no object. I need to look perfect." I should have trusted my gut when she said that. In my experience, people who make a big deal about money being no object are usually the ones who cause problems about payment later. But I needed the business, so I got started. For the next 3 hours, I worked on her hair. Cut, colored, styled, the whole works. She kept asking for little adjustments, wanting the layers shorter here, more volume there. I redid sections multiple times to get it exactly how she wanted. When I finished, her hair looked amazing. Even she seemed thrilled, taking selfies and going on about how perfect it looked. Me, all right, that'll be $150. She suddenly stopped admiring herself in the mirror and looked at me like I'd said something offensive. "Karen, oh, I don't believe in paying for beauty." I thought I misheard her. "Me, I'm sorry, what?" "Karen, beauty is a natural gift. No one should have to pay for it. You should feel honored that you got to work on hair this gorgeous." She started gathering her purse like she was about to leave. "Me, ma'am, we discussed the price before I started. You agreed to pay $150. "Karen, that was before I realized you were trying to profit off of natural beauty. It goes against my personal philosophy." I stepped between her and the door. "Me, you can't just leave without paying. This is theft of services." "Karen, get out of my way, or I'll leave you such a bad Yelp review that you'll have to close this little shop." "Me, I'm not moving until you pay what you owe." "Karen, fine. Expect a 1-star review talking about how you held a customer hostage and tried to extort money for basic human decency." She pushed past me and walked straight out the front door. I stood there for a second, shocked that someone would actually try to steal $150 worth of services. Then I got mad. I locked up the salon and followed her outside. She was already at her car, a brand new SUV that probably cost more than I made in 6 months. "Me, you're not getting away with this." "Karen, watch me." I pulled out my phone and called the police. In a town this small, they actually showed up fast. "Officer, what seems to be the problem?" I explained the situation while Karen sat in her car with the windows up, probably hoping the cop would just leave. "Officer, ma'am, can you step out of the vehicle?" She rolled down her window just enough to talk. "Karen, this woman is harassing me because I refuse to pay her ridiculous prices." "Officer, did you receive services from her salon?" "Karen, she did my hair, but I never agreed to pay those outrageous fees." "Me, officer, I have security cameras that recorded our entire conversation, including her agreeing to the price." The officer looked at Karen. "Officer, Ma'am, if you receive services and refuse to pay the agreed-upon price, that's theft of services. Karen, this is harassment. I'm calling my lawyer. Officer, you can call whoever you want from the station. Back at the salon, I showed the officer my security footage. Everything was recorded, including her enthusiastic agreement to pay and her sudden change of heart about her philosophy. 2 hours later, the officer came back to tell me Karen had been charged with theft of services. Apparently, she'd tried the same beauty philosophy excuse at 2 other salons in neighboring towns over the past month. The best part came a week later. The Salon Owners Association in our area decided to ban her from all participating salons in a 30-mile radius. We share information about problem customers now. She did leave that 1-star Yelp review, claiming I was a scam artist who held her hostage. But she also left similar reviews for the other salons she'd ripped off, and people figured out the pattern pretty quickly. My regular customers actually started leaving extra positive reviews to counter hers, and I got 3 new clients who specifically mentioned they'd heard about how I stood up to a thief. Some people think beauty is free, but apparently justice cost $150 plus court fees. Story 5. I work as a physical therapist at Regional Medical Center, and I've seen all kinds of drama over the years. But what happened last Tuesday in our hospital cafeteria was something else entirely. My shift had just ended around 6 in the evening, and I was grabbing a quick sandwich before heading home. The cafeteria stays open until 8 for staff and visitors, and it's usually pretty quiet during the dinner hour. I was standing in line behind this woman who seemed agitated about something. She was probably in her late 40s, wearing expensive clothes and carrying one of those designer handbags that cost more than most people make in a month. She kept sighing loudly and tapping her foot like everyone was moving too slowly for her liking. The cafeteria worker, Maria, was being her usual friendly self, helping customers choose from the pastries and sandwiches in the display case. Maria's been working here for 15 years and knows every item by heart. When it was the woman's turn, she pointed at a chocolate croissant in the pastry case. Karen, what's in that one? Maria, that's our chocolate almond croissant. It has chocolate filling and sliced almonds on top. Karen, does it have peanuts? Maria, no, ma'am. That one doesn't have peanuts. Just chocolate and almonds. Karen, are you sure? I have a severe peanut allergy. Maria, I'm positive. I helped make these this morning. No peanuts in the chocolate almond croissants. Karen, fine, I'll take it. Maria handed her the pastry in a small paper bag, and the woman paid and walked away. I thought that was the end of it. I got my sandwich and found a table near the windows. The cafeteria was pretty empty, just a few other staff members and some visitors scattered around. I was about halfway through eating when I heard yelling from across the room. Karen, help! Someone help me! I'm having an allergic reaction. She was standing by her table, waving the half-eaten croissant in the air. Karen, this pastry has peanuts in it. I specifically asked, and they lied to me. Maria rushed over from behind the counter, looking genuinely concerned. Maria, ma'am, I'm certain that pastry doesn't contain peanuts. Are you feeling any symptoms? Karen, I can taste them. There are definitely peanuts in here. But here's the thing, she wasn't showing any signs of an allergic reaction. No swelling, no difficulty breathing, no hives. She looked completely fine except for being angry. Maria, ma'am, would you like me to call a nurse to check on you? Karen, I want to speak to whoever's in charge of this death trap you call a kitchen. By now, other people in the cafeteria were staring. A couple of nurses who were on break came over to see if they could help. Nurse, ma'am, are you experiencing any physical symptoms? Difficulty breathing, swelling, nausea? Karen, I don't care about symptoms. This place nearly killed me with mislabeled food. The nurse looked confused because Karen was clearly not having any kind of allergic reaction. Within a few minutes, the cafeteria manager showed up, followed by someone from the hospital's nutrition department. The nutrition specialist was this calm, professional woman who immediately took control of the situation. Nutritionist: "Ma'am, I'm the head nutritionist here. Can you tell me exactly what happened?" Karen: "Your staff gave me a pastry with peanuts after I specifically told them about my severe allergy. This is gross negligence." Nutritionist: "I understand your concern. Let me examine the pastry and check our ingredient lists." She took the remaining half of the croissant and looked at it carefully. Nutritionist: "Ma'am, this appears to be our chocolate almond croissant. I can see sliced almonds on top, but I don't see any evidence of peanuts." Karen: "I can taste peanuts. Are you calling me a liar?" Nutritionist: "Not at all. Sometimes people can confuse similar flavors, especially when they're anxious about allergies. But I need to verify the ingredients to be sure." She pulled out her phone and started checking what I assumed was their ingredient database. Nutritionist: "I've confirmed that our chocolate almond croissants contain flour, butter, eggs, chocolate, almonds, and sugar. No peanuts or peanut products." Karen: "That's impossible. I know what peanuts taste like." Manager: "Ma'am, would you be willing to let us review the security footage to see exactly what happened?" Karen: "Security footage? What are you implying?" Manager: "Just that we want to make sure we understand the situation completely so we can address any problems with our food labeling." That's when Karen's attitude shifted from demanding to defensive. Karen: "I don't need you to watch some video. I'm telling you what happened." But the manager was already on his radio, calling security. Within minutes, a security officer arrived, and they all walked over to the security office, which had monitors showing the cafeteria. I couldn't hear what was being said, but I could see them watching the footage on the screens. After about 10 minutes, they all came back, and the security officer looked annoyed. Security: "Ma'am, the video clearly shows you asking about peanuts, being told the item doesn't contain peanuts, and then choosing to purchase it anyway." Karen: "So what? That doesn't change the fact that it has peanuts." Nutritionist: "Ma'am, we've triple-checked our ingredients. That pastry does not and has never contained peanuts." Security: "The footage also shows that you ate half the pastry before making any complaint, and you're showing no signs of an allergic reaction." That's when Karen completely exploded. Karen: "This is ridiculous. You're all covering for each other. I could have died." Karen: "I'm going to sue this hospital for everything it's worth." Karen: "You people don't care about patient safety." She was screaming so loud that patients and visitors throughout the cafeteria were getting upset. Some looked genuinely frightened by the commotion. Security: "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to lower your voice. You're disturbing other people in a medical facility." Karen: "I'll scream as loud as I want. This place tried to kill me." Security: "Ma'am, you're being disruptive in a hospital setting. I need you to leave the premises immediately." Karen: "You can't kick me out. I'm visiting someone upstairs." Manager: "Actually, ma'am, we can and we are. You're being banned from this facility for creating a public disturbance and making false accusations." The security officer started escorting her toward the exit while she continued yelling about lawsuits and conspiracies. Karen: "This isn't over. Everyone will know how dangerous this place is." Karen: "I'm calling the health department. I'm calling the news." After she was gone, the cafeteria slowly returned to normal. Maria looked shaken by the whole experience. Me: "Are you okay?" Maria: "I've never had anyone accuse me of trying to poison them before. I was so worried I'd made a mistake." Manager: "You did everything right." Maria: "Some people just want to cause drama." The nutritionist stayed behind to reassure other customers that all their food labeling was accurate and up to date. She even brought out the ingredient lists to show anyone who was concerned. Later, I heard from a nurse friend that the woman had been visiting someone in the cardiac unit, and the patient she was visiting actually apologized to the staff for her behavior. Apparently, this wasn't the first time she'd caused scenes in public places. The whole thing was completely unnecessary. She got exactly what she asked for, ate half of it without any problems, then decided to create drama over nothing. Some people just can't help themselves. Story 6. I've been a member at this gym for almost 2 years now. When I first started transitioning 3 years ago, finding a safe space to work out was really important for my mental health and confidence. This gym had always been welcoming. They updated my membership information without any hassle when I legally changed my name and gender marker, and I'd never had any issues using the women's facilities. I usually come in during off-peak hours to avoid crowds, but my work schedule had changed, and I found myself at the gym during the busier evening time. I just finished my workout and headed to the women's locker room to change and grab my things. I was quietly changing by my locker, minding my own business, when this woman burst through the door like she owned the place. She looked around frantically before her eyes landed on me. "Karen, excuse me, you need to leave right now." I looked around, confused, thinking she might be talking to someone else. "Me? I'm sorry, are you talking to me?" "Karen? Yes, I'm talking to you. You don't belong in here. You're making everyone uncomfortable." I glanced around the locker room. There were maybe 4 other women there, and they were all staring at Karen like she'd lost her mind. I quickly pulled my shirt on. "Me? I'm just changing. I haven't bothered anyone." "Karen, I don't care what you think you're doing. This is a women's locker room, and you have no right to be here." One of the other women, an older lady who I'd seen at the gym before, stepped forward. "Older woman, what's your problem? She's been coming here for years. She's not bothering anyone." "Karen, are you kidding me? Look at her. She's obviously a man pretending to be a woman." Another woman joined in. "Second woman, lady, you need to calm down. You're the only one causing a scene here." Karen completely lost it. She started yelling about how she was going to report this to management and how the gym was going to get sued. Then she pulled out her phone and started recording me while I was still getting dressed. "Me? Stop recording me. That's illegal. Karen, I'm documenting this violation. You people think you can just go anywhere you want." The older woman stepped between Karen and me. "Older woman, put that phone away right now, or I'm calling security." "Karen, I'm going to get all of you banned from this gym. This is disgusting and inappropriate." She stormed out, still yelling about lawsuits and how she was going to shut the place down. I finished getting dressed quickly, feeling shaken. The other women were really supportive and asked if I was okay. I thanked them and headed to the front desk to report what happened before Karen could spin her own version. The manager was a young guy who'd always been friendly to me. "Manager, I'm so sorry this happened. Let me pull up the security footage and membership logs right away." While we waited, Karen appeared at the front desk, still ranting. "Karen, I want that person banned immediately. I'm a paying member and I shouldn't have to deal with men in the women's facilities." "Manager, ma'am, can you please lower your voice? I'm reviewing the situation now." "Karen, there's nothing to review. I have video evidence. I'm posting this online and calling the news." The manager pulled up the footage on his computer and reviewed the membership logs. "Manager, ma'am, I've reviewed everything. Our member has been using our facilities appropriately for 2 years without any issues. The security footage shows you entered the locker room and immediately began harassing another member who was quietly changing. You also recorded someone without consent, which violates both gym policy and state law." "Karen, I don't care about your policies. This is discrimination against real women." "Manager, actually, what you did constitutes harassment and privacy violation. I'm revoking your membership effective immediately." "Karen, you can't do that. I'll sue this place into the ground." "Manager, security will escort you out. You're no longer welcome here." 2 security guards appeared and walked Karen toward the exit while she screamed about lawyers and discrimination lawsuits. The next day, the gym sent an email to all members reaffirming their commitment to providing a safe and inclusive environment for everyone. They also posted a statement on social media about supporting all members regardless of gender identity. Karen tried to post her video online, but it backfired spectacularly. Most comments called her out for harassing someone who was just trying to change clothes. The gym's response got hundreds of supportive comments. I still see some of the women from that day at the gym. They always smile and say hello. It's nice knowing that most people are decent when it really matters.